Hello, friends, and welcome to the PowHERful Podcast. I'm your host, AJ McCord. In this podcast, we introduce you to powerful women who are changing the game in and outside of their field of play. These are women's stories, women who happen to be doing things that many of us can only dream of, but the lessons and inspiration they share is universal. Welcome back to the PowHERful Podcast. Season 3 is here, and I could not be more thrilled. My name is AJ McCord. I am your host, and this is the PowHERful Podcast, where we tell you the stories of some of the most incredible women in Olympic, extreme, and action sports. And it's so fitting that we are kicking off Season 3 from right here in Salt Lake City. It is celebrating 30 years of X Games, and so we have some incredible X Games athletes to introduce you to this season. Many of them were Olympians, many of them are medalists. All of them have incredible stories and lessons that can be learned. And with no one is that more true than our very first guest of Season 3. Her name is Bryce Wettstein, and she is a skateboarder, a two-time Olympian, a record holder, a singer-songwriter, and honestly, just an altogether beautiful soul. In this episode, we talk a lot about how to hold it all and how to have the one thing that is really the thread and the most important thing of your life be the building block to find all these other avenues and outlets, and how you don't have to just be one thing. And I think in sports in particular, that's such a powerful lesson to be reminded of. So I cannot wait for you to get to know this young lady. She is 21 years old and going for an X Games medal, also trying to be a singer-songwriter, all the things. So everybody, I hope you enjoy this conversation with Bryce Wettstein. I'm just going to introduce you to the lovely soul that brought us into this Season 3 of the PowHERful Podcast. Bryce, it is so great to have you. You've already written a song for us, 21 years old. She is a two-time Olympian, and as you can hear, a recording artist as well. Lovely on the ukulele, lovely as a soul. And I'm so excited because this is our first time getting a chance to meet, but I have followed you on Instagram, and your sweet spirit just shines through in everything that you do, including the badassery that you bring here to the X Games in Salt Lake City, into the skate park, onto the vert ramp. So thank you for being on the PowHERful Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy.
Of course. So I'm so excited for you guys to get to know Bryce a little bit better. Some of you may have known her from the Olympics. You were in Tokyo and then you were in Paris again, but I am so excited because she's another San Diego native. And so you and I kind of ran in the same circles growing up. We have a lot of mutual friends in Katie Simmers, some of these surfers that are very well known in San Diego. But for those who have known you just from your skateboarding, I would love for you to tell us a little bit about what's the first thing that you want people to know about who you are outside of a skateboarder.
I feel like I would love to be known as a musician outside of skateboarding. That would be a dream come true, because I'm just starting to do things with my music, which is so much fun. And obviously it's through skateboarding that all of that like kind of got discovered, little channels, which I'm so happy. And I'd love to be known as like a surfer and a volleyball player, a sister, a daughter, and a friend, and just knowing that all of us have those same similarities, you know, things that protrude out of us that we want to share with others. And I think that's what I'd want them to know.
I love it. And it just brings into focus exactly why I'm so excited to have you on this podcast, because you are so much more than just a skateboarder. You bring so much more to the world. And so I want to start with the question that always kind of just sets the tone, which is, what is one thing that made you feel powerful this week?
Oh, wow. That's a really good question. Okay. Oh, well, one thing that made me feel really powerful this week was probably getting on the plane from Japan and getting to Utah and getting here. And I hear Alicia Keys playing This Girl's on Fire in the background. And I'm thinking, how many times have we had those moments we've had to endure and like pull through our challenges just to like feel in our element again? Like, sometimes like we get out of it for a second and we're like enduring. And then we just kind of like get there again. And it's the most like powerful feeling ever. So I think the most powerful feeling is when like I got here, got to Utah, I had a little slam on a backside air over the island and kind of fell, and then just got up and just did the run. It's like, why wouldn't I just do it again, right? Like, why I just want to do it again. Yeah. Like, and maybe it will work, because I only had 2 minutes left of the practice, so I just was like, I'm just going to do it. And then luckily it worked. Oh my gosh. Thank goodness. So it's not about the number of times that you fall, but the number of times you get back up. And that was what made you feel powerful this week. Definitely. I love that. For me, my powerful moment this week was getting into Salt Lake City and feeling like, oh my gosh, we're really doing this. Like the PowHErful, which has been my, passion project. We're coming up on our year anniversary, and getting a chance to start season 3 with somebody like you and some of these other incredible women from the X Games. It just made me feel like it's working and it's making a difference. And here we are in Salt Lake City to celebrate the 30 years of X Games. And you have been a part of a lot of X Games, but I want to go back to the roots of skateboarding, because like you mentioned, it's kind of where it all started for you. And how old were you when you first got on a skateboard? I was about 5 years old when I first got on the skateboard. Oh my gosh. What do you remember about those early moments of the sport? Well, kind of what you were saying earlier, like you got here and that's what made you feel powerful. I feel like there's a certain kind of like evanescence where, things don't wear off, but they transition. Like when I was younger, I remember just getting onto the ramp, like about to drop in and being like, that's what made me feel powerful, is the before, Yeah. And like, I feel like it's those little things and details that make me want to like go on to the next chapter so much, which is really insane, because I remember my dad would always spot me and hold my hands, and he would always be like there for me, to the point where it's like, well, maybe I should even try this on my own, right? But like he'd hold my hands and then he'd start spotting me. And I remember like dropping in, we had a little mini ramp in our backyard, and it was all yellow, like yellow slide, yellow ducks. Oh everything was yellow around me. I was like, and that's why it's still my favorite color, which is funny. But I remember he was always like making the environment feel right. And I feel like, and you had it was called the garden ramp or the iguana. Tell me a little bit, because it wasn't just like, oh, this casual ramp. Like your dad skateboarded also, right? Your mom was involved as well. So they created like this oasis for you in your backyard in Encinitas, where you could just play and fall in love with the sport, it seemed like. Yeah, exactly. That's what made it crazy, because, well, like, it's weird because all of them liked skating so much. We kind of all did it together as a family, and I kind of got brought up into it. But we had this iguana bowl, so it was like 4 foot mini ramp, 6 foot deep end, and then my dad's iguana was like 22 years old, and he had him before he was married to my mom. And he would just sit and watch everybody skate around the bowl. So it's called the Iguana Bowl. And I realize how thankful I am for my dad and my mom. And, that brings me back to that point. It's like so amazing that we could be there together. I want to continue in your growing up story, but since this podcast covers so many different sports and so many different athletes, can you break down for us your 2 disciplines in skateboarding? Mm-hmm. Because people hear vert ramp, and as you might imagine, that is short for vertical, but it is like a very tall ramp. And then you also do park. So just walk us through your disciplines in skateboarding. So my disciplines are vert skateboarding and park skateboarding, which is pretty like, whoa, like I think it's fun because, well, the vert skating and park skating are pretty similar because they're both the transition feeling. But the vert is very focused on tricks to tricks and tricks. And you're doing the airs on the vert ramp and some lip tricks and grinds. In the park, it's more like recreational. You're doing like airs over hips. You're doing like obstacles. So you're kind of applying your tricks more to different features. Rather, the vert's just one big feature. You're just doing airs. And it's kind of more universal. But also the park's super fun to watch. And I would feel like the park's a little more like surfing.
Yeah.
You know? I feel like vert skateboarding is very kind of solely like feeling like skateboarding.
I love that. Okay, so you grew up with this oasis of skateboarding in the backyard, and I think it's always so I was a gymnast, competitive gymnast growing up. So I know what it's like to start really dedicating yourself to a sport when you're really young. And I think one of the most beautiful transitions, like you're talking about in a sport when you start that young, is when it went from when was it something that your parents and your family was doing together, and when it became your thing, right? Like when was it was like, oh, little Bryce decided, hey, actually, I'm going to take this seriously. And I want this to be not just a recreational thing, but it's going to be in the Olympics. It's going to, it's at X Games. Like, when did it transition for you of this is something that I enjoy doing to something that I think I could make a career out of?
Well, I think that's a really good point, actually. Like, I didn't even think of it like that. It's such a thing at first that you can't fully know for yourself.
Right.
You need a little bit of like push and guidance. And that's why I'm so thankful for that. But it was definitely at a time where I was about, I'd say 13, 14, where I really decided like this is something I really want to do for myself. And I think I sort of fell in love with it even more around 15, like that late.
Yeah.
Like, I think I loved it, but I really fell in love with it when I was probably like 15, 16, because I was really starting to discover who I was at 17, even like that late. But I remember cutting my hair for the first time and just feeling like skateboarding is so much different than I thought it was, and like pieced itself together differently in a way where it felt more like I could be free and do what I love. It wasn't like I was following an instruction.
Yeah.
Or like doing like contests necessarily, just contests. It was like I can be who I am soulfully and spiritually, and I can feel spiritual on a deeper level when I'm doing like my craft or my athletic stuff, like skateboarding. And I was able to tie it into surfing and volleyball and like music and somehow interweave through everything. And I'm like, skating feels like the heart of me, but there's this mound of stuff underneath that feels like it's like coming to life now.
For sure. It's almost like this became the thread around which everything else made sense.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like for me, like that happens for so many of us, especially when we do things, so many things when we're young, like I remember for a long time, that thread was gymnastics for me. And that was it. That was the sole focus. And then when I couldn't do that anymore, it was like, okay, well, actually sports is the thread. And then it went from sports to, well, actually storytelling is the thread. And so it's like so cool. The thing that's all stayed together, but it's like you find those threads and you just tug on them and build around them until you create this really beautiful like tapestry almost of like the life that you're building. And I think it's been really beautiful to see you start adding those threads in, right? And creating this beautiful, colorful quilt of your life and what you want it to look like. And it's such a good,
sometimes overwhelming.
It's so overwhelming. And I think that's one of the things that I always feel, I got out of my most competitive sport of gymnastics really early, right? I did it all through high school. And so I had the time in college to sort of figure out, okay, well now what am I going to do with the rest of my life? But it's such a conversation that is important because we're here at the X Games, and at 21 years old, you are the oldest in your field in some of these competitions. At 21 years old, like you could just legally get a drink for the first time. Crazy, and you're going up against these preteens and teenagers who are just setting the standard. But it's so important to find a balance of this is who I am as a skateboarder, but like I also want to be a kid. And that's something that I think we just don't talk about enough. And I feel like you're doing that. Like you figured out how to do that. How did you do that? Because I think it's a lesson that so many people like, whether you're a parent of a kid who's really passionate about a sport or you're coming up in a sport, it's so important to figure out how to become a well-rounded human being that happens to do this sport.
Exactly. I think, it is definitely a learning curve that you figure out yourself, but you also have like my parents, my dad and my mom were always really good. Like about me doing a lot of sports, a lot was always such a good thing. Like volleyball, because it just made you like cross training. It made you so well rounded, and I feel like it's kind of like I feel like that book, the Shel Silverstein book, where like he's rounding, like becomes a circle. Like he starts off with like a little triangle, and the more he rolls, the more he becomes a circle. I feel like it's like you want to make sure in your life you have that full circle balance, because you never know like when your path might veer another way. But no matter like where it veers, you're still gonna do what you love at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That's what I love about that. But I think mainly I really discovered how to do it by myself and just like be more independent. But I was like, well, I just want to have fun. Like,
yeah.
Like that was like the simple things that you learn seem hard to learn sometimes.
Yeah.
Like what you said about storytelling. I love storytelling. And I remember, I don't know if you know Christian Hosoi.
I know the name, yeah.
Yeah. And he's like a really famous skateboarder. He invented the Christ there and like the judo. And he'll always give me like a lot of advice about like finding yourself, having fun. But most importantly, like listening to the simple things and the basic things and just like not overthinking what you say, because there's always going to be another chance to say something else.
Yeah.
Like, I remember him saying that to me, and that was really sweet.
I feel like so often, especially in these individual sports where you can feel your creativity and you can like let it show.
Creativity.
Yeah. Creativity. Bringing flowers to the podcast and brownies, might I add. Girl after my own heart in many ways. I feel like that's one of the things that is so cool about a lot of the sports that you listed being drawn to, is that you feel like you can creatively, it's a creative outlet as much as it's an athletic outlet for you.
It's definitely a creative outlet. It's funny because lately I can feel like I can sit in complete stillness and like still hear everything happening because there's so much to catch up on. It's just crazy because when you're skateboarding, there's so much happening, even when there's not a lot happening.
Yeah.
In the air, you'll be doing an alley-oop or changing direction. And just that simple little like front slash feels like it can echo on every surface of the world. Like the simplest tricks feel so powerful, like you're saying. And that's what I think is beautiful about what you're saying, is like true power doesn't have to be aggressive or like ample or like amplified. True power can be like the tiniest drop of water or the smallest tree falling down, like a little petal. I feel like power isn't measured in quantity, it's measured in the quality. Yeah. And I feel like that's really cool in skateboarding.
I was going to say, how do you feel like you apply that? Because I think it's easy to watch an athlete like you go up on this vert ramp and go just massive into the air, do a crazy trick and spin around a bunch of times. And the rest of us are like, oh my gosh, that required a lot of power, you know? Totally. But it's like, you're almost, I like the way that you're describing it because it makes it feel more intentional and like there's a flow to it. How did you develop your style of skateboarding to incorporate power and flow and this creativity?
Well, it's funny because what you're saying too, I love how you're saying the spins, because it's weird, but I feel like in the skater's mind, the trick actually like slows down.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm like, whoa, but when you watch it, it looks so like
so fast.
And I'm like, what? But I swear when you're doing it, everything's like slow motion. Like it feels like when you're like kind of like talking or saying something, you like feel it so much. And that's what you said about flowing. It's like you're so involved in something that the flow is like relatively looking different, but to you the flow feels different because you're the one doing it. And I swear it's like the way like you pour a cup of water or like just walking around, like the flow and how you're doing is always different from how people see it.
Yeah.
But the flow is like that key ingredient, I think, for all sports, but contest skating like specifically because like when you're about to drop in, you want to tap into the flow. Like,
yeah.
I actually wanted to study flow state for a long time. Willie Santos, he's my coach and he's also like my really amazing friend. And we always used to call focus like flow kiss, when you focus and flow, like flow kiss.
I love that. No, I love that. And
it's so fun.
So I'm curious, I love the, and it's, again, because of my background in covering surfing too, we always talk about the flow state. It's always important to get into the flow of the ocean and the waves and things like that.
Yeah.
And then it also comes time that like, you got to compete. Like you got to show up, you got to put together a run, you got to put together a score on a wave. How do you put together a park run in particular where you can have that creativity and it feels natural and like what you're thriving in? Well, at the same time, you want to, I'm assuming you want to walk away with a medal. You want to come out and, win an Olympic gold or win an X Games gold. Mm-hmm. How do you balance creating a run that feels so authentic?
That is such a good question.
Yeah.
That's such a good question because I'm still asking myself that all the time. I think that's the key is asking yourself that and not just assuming because it's like, it's really hard to know the answer, but you can know it as best as you can. And that's like the best kind of outcome that you can have is like knowing like the tricks you want to do, knowing how difficult you can go because you've been practicing these forever. Right. But then also there comes a point where you're like, maybe that just doesn't feel right. Like it's like this funny argument I always have with myself that it's like, well, should I do this one or this one? Like this one's difficult, right? But this one is the feeling, right? Yeah. This one is like, it's like, should I eat the brownie or like something healthier? But actually this is great because I might need this. But then at the end of the day, like I do always ask Willie for his opinion and he always says like the best things. Having someone else's opinion is also so nice too. Like someone you trust and love. And also like not having too many other people's opinions is also nice.
Yes, you have to be very selective with the opinions you let come into your head.
Yeah. So it always begins as like, okay, I'm gonna try my hardest tricks kind of in like a certain place that I know they'll work. Like a mute fast plant is like a trick I know I can do, but it's like, where am I gonna do it? That's probably the biggest question because that's, they always judge like kind of speed, power, flow, style, creativity, difficulty. So it's like you have to balance all those factors, which for me is like, well, there's this trick called the Madonna that I really like, which I also love Madonna, the singer. But like you have one foot that kicks off in the air and you're doing a lean to tail and you bring it back on. And it's kind of like it looks like a little rock star move. Yeah. It's kind of like this push-pulley system where you have to like balance the two equating factors. I feel like I'm doing math. But I always try to add in like the simple tricks for me, like things that I love. Yeah. So more of the story, I guess, is like, I learned a while ago, if you're unique to yourself in the way you skate, that's always the way to go. Yeah. You can't always watch other people because you can watch them and appreciate them, but you have to make sure you don't compare yourself to everything and compare every little thing because the way that you are is how you stand out. And like amongst everybody else, like we're all beyond compare, which all the stuff I'm saying is things I'm still trying to learn because it's so easy to say, but in the moment, there's so many things that we're not perfect, but like the best thing is being you're perfect, right? Yeah. Like,
that's so cool. And again, I mean, I keep coming back to it, but it's one of the things that impresses me so much is when you are so ingrained in a sports culture from a very young age. It's like you have to learn all of this and it's like forcing you into these life lessons that I feel a lot of times if you don't have that same immersive sporting experience, then it's hard to like be forced into these. And it's like at 21, you've been forced to reckon with a lot of things that like if you had been going to sort of a quote unquote like normal high school or normal college, you just mentioned you came from Osaka to Salt Lake City. Like even that in and of itself, the international travel brings so much to it. How do you feel like, this might be a really hard question to answer, but how do you feel like skateboarding has shaped who you are becoming as a person, even if you never picked up a skateboard again?
Yeah. All of that is so cool. I actually, I have to add something. It's weird. This is going to be maybe weird, but I did go to like a high school, like a normal high school, but I'm still kind of in college, which is weird. But now I'm trying to like still do the college too. Right. Cause like, when you have like 8 dreams at once. And okay. Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Yes. And you feel like, wait, am I living one? You're like, wait, what? But like, it's all shaping you because like the classes you take I might not always know what I'm going to do with the degree, right? But I'm going to take the class because I want that experience. You never know what you're going to get out of it. And then the international travel is always just like, whew, you definitely feel like your brain goes like, whoa, like everything kind of expands a whole lot.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. I think though, skateboarding and international travel has like shaped me. I think it's really shaped me in ways where you're right. Like the life lessons that you have from like traveling and skateboarding, things that are like fun, right?
Yeah.
They're like, you should just have fun. You're like, like I am having fun, but don't you also treat it as something serious? You're right. Because it's like, this is your passion, which is always kind of like paradoxical.
Yep.
Paradoxical. Because it's like, wait, this is like my fun passion, but now it's like, I asked for this, so I'm going to have to keep up.
Yeah.
Right? But like, what's so awesome is the life lessons you learn and the growth you have. This is the biggest lesson I'm learning nowadays because I'm 21. You're right. It's like, life is real, like real life happens, but then there's this other dream life kind of state that you get into. And when the two like mix together, I swear there's this magic that happens where it's like the most magic things are both real and magic. Like what makes it magic is that it's real.
Yeah.
That was like a tongue twister. But I learned this quote, like figuring out who we are is the one thing no one else can do for us. And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. I listened to a podcast called We Can Do Hard Things. And one of the quotes that I always come back to is, why are you asking directions to places that no one else has ever been? Because it's like the map of your life, right? And like no one's ever lived it. No one has the same unique, character makeup and dreams and ideas and all this stuff. And but it's so hard because it feels like, you should be getting advice. And like you said, the voices in your head and like the ones that you let in, but it's like, why am I asking directions to places that they've never been? And it's like, oh, shoot, I guess I do have to figure this out by myself.
I know.
Because it is up to me.
That's actually really crazy.
Yeah. I want to touch on one of the things that you mentioned, which is the singing songwriting, which is, you started us off with the most beautiful way we've ever started this podcast with your ukulele. When did that come along? When did your passion for music start taking center stage a little bit? Or at least like left center to skateboarding.
Well, when I was 13, I got my first ukulele. I was at a skate contest and my mom surprised me after, and she got me my first ukulele. And I had been inspired by Grace Vanderwall, who won America's Got Talent when she was 12. And I was inspired because it was so pure. And I'm like, I think all you have to do is just like be yourself, like, and sing. Like, is that what you do? Is like all you do when you're skate, like just do what you want, kind of. But it's like, wait, you can do that, but like put a little bit of thought into it, right? Like make these songs like worthwhile. And I was like, well, I think I'll just try to write a song for the first time. And then I just started like messing around with the ukulele and playing different chords. And it's insane because I never knew that things that you begin to do could change your life. Like I never would have thought all of this would be happening. And like, I think that's kind of the beauty of like finding things that surprise you and just like trying them out. Because it's like, I used to just try a bunch of different things and hobbies all the time, but it's weird how the ukulele stuck.
Yeah.
I'm always just bringing it because I don't know. I just want to. Like, it just feels so important to me.
Well, but I think it's cool because it's almost another outlet for your creativity and for your storytelling and all of that. And so
that's true, actually. Yeah.
I feel like it's just like an extension of the things that drew you to skateboarding with another outlet. And you've talked about, wanting to do a lot more of the storytelling or of the singer songwriter and becoming more of an artist musically. How do you do that?
Do you know what's crazy is like, you think like it comes naturally, but I think it's just about finding the time and like setting time aside. You know those things that feel like they're timeless in your life, and you put time aside for something you feel like that doesn't even need time. It's like such a weird concept because it's like the things that you get gratification from. For me, like there's so much gratification in writing a song or learning a trick or doing these things that always lead me to come back to them. But I think I've loved music and skating so much to a point where it's gotten past the gratification part, past the satisfaction, where I don't need, like, I just love it for what it is. Even if nothing comes out of it, even if it's just a mistake, I feel like I learn more now from the mistake that it's like a mistake. Like I can just do it over again, and it doesn't even need to have anything. It just needs to have the simple, soulful part of it.
Yeah.
And that's what I cherish now. Like meeting a person.
Yeah.
Like when you're at contests and when you're singing and doing things, like meeting people for me is just as rewarding, I feel like, sometimes as doing the whole run. Like,
Yeah.
it's those things where I feel now I've gotten far along on this journey, and I think I'd always like to admit, like, oh, I'm not far, like, I'm not, whatever, I'm not. And now I'm starting to feel like, well, like, maybe it's okay to just say, yes, I'm proud to have, like, gone on this journey. Like, I'm proud to have started this journey. And I've been trying to, like, get myself to say that, because for me, it's the confidence that you find within yourself just to keep talking, like, or keep singing or keep writing. Because it's sort of like rambling or meandering, which is so weird. My dad or like mom's like, what are you even saying? But it's like, just wait. Like the point's coming.
I will bring it back together.
Yeah, exactly. It's like full circle, like a wheel spinning, like skateboarding. Like it all connects back together. It just needs time.
Yeah.
That's where I've learned patience.
Yeah.
And that's why I love podcasts.
Yeah.
Sometimes like in other interviews, you're like, well, I want to all bring it together really fast. But that's also why I like songwriting.
Yeah.
And why music has felt so life-changing to me is because you're right. It is an expression. And even when I'm overwhelmed sometimes, it's like, just sing. Obviously, like there's so many life lessons in skateboarding and being at the Olympics. Being able to sing for people was just the best part always.
Yeah.
It's always been the best part for some reason.
Because I remember seeing a picture of you in Paris and you had your ukulele. You brought it with you, and it was like such an important part of your Olympic journey, which, by the way, Olympic finalists, like this was such an impressive athletic endeavor, but you were, again, so true to just who you were. You didn't change anything. And I think it's something that we're seeing a lot in women's sports in particular, where we're seeing women just own who they are. I think of Alona, who's, obviously taken the world by storm, but she started as a rugby player, which is this niche sport that not a lot of people knew about. And now we've gotten so lucky to see exactly what makes her the badass, brave, strong, beautiful woman that she is. And in the same way, it's like, this is becoming a part of you sharing with us, hey, I'm Bryce. Yes, I can go out there and I can throw down these amazing skate park runs with the best in the world, but like, this is what I do in my free time. This is what makes me who I am. And I think that as we move forward, it's so important to know a little bit more about your heroes, right? And there's like people who are going to look up but you're somebody's. It's so cool to like think of, little girls who are watching you skateboard and saying, oh, I can be a badass skateboarder and play the ukulele. And it's just like such an impressive thing for you to be confident in at the age that you are. And as you continue, right, to just bring every element of who you are.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, it's crazy. I always say it's crazy. I do feel sometimes crazy, but in a good way. But I bring my journal a lot of places and have people like sign it and stuff. And I feel like there's something really true and beautiful about writing and storytelling, because there's a certain point where it's like we're doing the sport, but when I'm skating, sometimes it feels like writing. Like the same like tactile feeling where you have so much going on. Like I just want to like get out of my head sometimes and be in the body's motions. Like surfing, like just you don't always know where the waves are, but when you pop up, you're like, oh, I'm on one. And it's just so spontaneous.
Yeah.
So I think in my life, I've learned a lot how to be like spontaneous and ready for things. But also I do sometimes, which is weird. I'm not like afraid of change, but I think naturally I've always loved things that make me feel at home. Like carrying pieces of me from my home to places. Like, I think that's why I always bring things with me, because I feel like when you decorate the space, it feels like nothing's changed.
It's like an ability to stay consistent.
Yeah.
In the changing circumstances.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, I think you have your tricks that you're going to do, that you're set out to do, even in an environment like this. My mom and I were just saying, like, we have to adapt. Like, adapting is everything here. Like, it's not always about what you can do, it's how well you can adapt.
Yeah.
Which is so cool.
Yeah. So we've gotten to see you in the Olympics. We're going to see you here in Salt Lake City for the X Games. For those who want to have a better idea of how to follow skateboarding, your skateboarding journey in particular in the non-Olympic years, what else do you have to look forward to this year that people can root you on, either as a skater, as a surfer, as a ukulele player? Like, what does the summer look like for Bryce?
Well, I have to remember. Okay, X Games Utah. I'm going to Pennsylvania for Woodward. I think there's another. I do a lot of mini shows, like music shows,
Fun.
like Duckfoot. So I play guitar and ukulele, which is really fun. And sometimes people will play with me. I'm doing the first pitch at the Padres game, which is really fun.
Yay!
And on July 4th, which will be magical.
Oh my gosh, that's so exciting.
I know. And then I just had the Vans Warped Tour, and I got to perform there on the acoustic stage, and then meet some of the Sublime guys, which did not feel very real. Crazy. And then I think I'm going to do the Supergirl Pro in September. Which would be
Epic.
awesome. They might have a skate demo, but I'm going to do the surf contest, I think.
Very cool. Back at home in San Diego.
Yes.
That'll be so fun.
And then in September, there's Washington, D.C., which is the first qualifier for the World Skate Series for the next Olympics. So we'll see.
We're already back at it.
Oh,
so
yes.
it's the qualifiers is going to be starting in DC, and that's how you can earn your spot on Team USA again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
It's weird because I think Team USA, like, we're still on it, but I think we're gonna like compete for it again. Like
Sure.
what you said.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, we cannot wait to root you on and all of those things. I cannot wait to see your first pitch of the Padres game. It's going to be so good. There's nothing more nerve-wracking. I did a first pitch at a minor league baseball team, and this is how. So I'm very competitive, and it was a part of a like competition. So it was all of the media personalities. It was out in Portland, Oregon. It was all of the like sports media personalities got a chance to throw out a first pitch, and you got judged on like your accuracy and like speed and like creativity and like fan votes, all this stuff. And the winner got their own bobblehead. From like the next year, they were going to create a bobblehead of the sports media personality. And so my competitive self, I was like, well, what am I going to, I played softball. So I was like, I think I can throw it. But I decided to do a cartwheel down the mound, threw it. I never, in all of my practices, never even got close to home plate. And then in the moment, it went across home plate. I think it skipped a little bit ahead of time, but it doesn't matter. I won the competition. And so then I got this little bobblehead of like me doing a cartwheel down the mound. Yeah, it was incredible. So if you like do something creative, bring the ukulele out because that's what the people want. Yeah.
Oh, I never thought of that.
Yeah. Nobody cares about actually like throwing the ball. The first pitch is it's a creative expression. Bring out the skateboard. I don't know if you can bring a skateboard. Or a skateboard maybe a little
so
time. Maybe the
fun.
ukulele though.
That would be awesome. I'm gonna do it.
Yes.
Like my friend Patty, I always wear my bracelet for Patty McGee. She inspired me to like handstands on my skateboard.
Yes.
So that'll be great.
I can't wait.
I think I'm going to Portland, Oregon also in August.
Oh, perfect. It's so pretty
For
there.
the Rockstar Skate Contest.
Well, this is a perfect transition because our next segment is called Something to Sip On, and it is brought to you by the Sports Bra, which is a women's sports bar in Portland, Oregon.
Oh.
And so it is dedicated to women's sports. They only show women's sports there. Very first women's sports bar in the world. And so I want to know, what is your cocktail or mocktail of choice?
Whoa. Okay, this is going to be really boring, guys. But I really love ice water.
Okay, that's fine. Do we like adding fruit or
I
no?
love water right now. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Strawberries.
Okay.
And maybe some apples.
There we go.
Oh my God, can I
That's
just add all my fruits?
Yeah, you can add all of your fruits.
Pears.
Okay.
And maybe, watermelon.
Oh, that's such a good summer
With the
wine.
water.
With the water. Do we do sparkling water or still?
Still.
Still water. Okay, so this is a juice.
Yeah, actually.
This is a juice.
Like orange juice kind of feeling. Like, I love it.
Like a mimosa sans the champagne.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
With some juices and then maybe like a little surprise in there.
Oh, a little like mint leaf or something.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yes, a mint leaf. Or maybe like an orange.
There we go.
A
Okay.
small little orange on the
Like a little
side.
clementine. on the side.
I love that.
Adorable. Okay. So that is our drink for the Bryce. Our next segment is called Powered Up. And these are 3 things that get you powered up for your sport of skateboarding. But they're a little like off the cuff. So don't take this too seriously. The first one is, what is a music you listen to before dropping in?
Okay, Madonna.
Nice.
Because I like Madonna's stuff. Madonna, Blondie, Dreamin' is Free. I love that song. Honestly, lately, some Sublime, which is really fun, just for fun to make it happy. And then the Cranberries. I love the Cranberries. And then last one. Lately, it's been, I think my friend Ruby and I always do Long Way to Go by Cassie.
Yep, good one.
Which is really fun, like all of the rap songs. Oh my gosh, I would always do Starships Were Meant to Fly.
That
Hands
one.
up, yes.
I love that. And then you go touch the sky.
And then yes.
Okay, the second question. If you could describe the scene in your head that is happening before you drop in, what is that scene?
I always imagine like a really blue sky and like not a lot of people around and me about to kind of drop in. And then I imagine Willie there. And then I imagine like kind of looking at people in the crowd and kind of hearing people, but not hearing them too much. And then really focusing in on the run and maybe like doing that one of those little smiles that I don't really know like if I can fully smile yet, but I'm smiling. And then I feel like the sky isn't really like that blue anymore. Like right as I'm dropping in, it kind of turns like maybe a Caribbean blue, like a little bit darker. And it kind of feels like the ocean, kind of how you feel before you paddle.
Yeah.
Surfing.
Yeah.
But my mind is calm because I'm like tapping into the calm. But at heart, I have so much like wanting to happen.
Yeah.
So
I love that. I love that. And then the last question for this segment is, what is the most important way you get your mind right before an event?
Definitely playing music, like just strumming a little bit. And then I think talking about things that make me like the most happy, like things where I like just bring it up and it's not even random because everything matters in this moment.
Yeah.
And then I think also stretching a lot. I also do a lot of stretching. And then maybe write a few little like notes down or something. And then like maybe look for people to talk to a little. And just briefly.
Little mingle.
Yeah, a
Little mingle.
Mingling.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Well, that is a great way to get powered up. We cannot wait to see you compete at X Games Salt Lake City. The very last question to wrap up the podcast is, what does powerful mean to you?
I think powerful means doing things in the way that you want to do them and not changing your own heart for anyone else but you. Basically always giving yourself chance or opportunity to just be who you are in that moment. Because even though it's changing, it's the right answer if you just listen. So powerful is listening.
I love that. That's so good. Bryce, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. This has been incredible.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
So good. Oh, thank you so much, friends, for listening to this episode of the PowHERful Podcast. We'll be back next week.
Goodbye. Thank you. See you next week. Hope you have a wonderful day. Now, thank you. We'll see you soon. Thank you again. Bye.
This is a reminder to check us out every Tuesday, everywhere you get your podcasts. And if you really enjoy this and don't want to miss an episode, be sure to hit that subscribe button.